Setting boundaries is about defining where your personal limits lie, and it's crucial for maintaining both your mental and emotional well-being. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space. They let others know how you expect to be treated and what you're willing to accept in any relationship, whether it's with family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers. Too often, people confuse kindness with the absence of boundaries, thinking that being available to everyone at all times makes them a good person. In reality, when you don't set clear limits, you're allowing others to dictate your priorities and ultimately your sense of self-worth. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about letting people in while still protecting your core. Think about it: without boundaries, you might find yourself constantly saying yes to things you don't want to do, feeling overwhelmed or taken advantage of, and never having time for yourself. Whether it's in your personal life or at work, when you fail to establish boundaries, you start to resent the very people you think you're helping. You start feeling drained because you're giving more than you can afford to give. You become a version of yourself that's always stretched too thin, always overcommitted, and ultimately disconnected from your own needs and desires. Setting boundaries means recognizing that you have value. It means understanding that your time is precious and your energy is finite. When you say no, when you decide that certain behaviors or demands are unacceptable, you're not being rude or difficult. You're simply respecting yourself enough to demand the same respect from others. Boundaries are not walls. They're not meant to keep everyone out. They're meant to ensure that only those who respect and honor your worth have access to you. In relationships, boundaries are essential for mutual respect and understanding. Without boundaries, you risk allowing others to manipulate or guilt you into situations where you're not comfortable. When you don't assert your limits, you teach others that it's okay to disregard your needs. You essentially tell the world that your time, your peace of mind, and your well-being are negotiable, but they're not. The more you practice setting boundaries, the more you realize that people who truly value you will respect them. And those who don't, well, those are the very people you need boundaries for in the first place. In the professional realm, boundaries are equally important. You can't be available 24/7, and you shouldn't have to be. Just because you're capable of working late, answering that email at midnight, or taking on an extra project doesn't mean you should. Without clear boundaries in the workplace, you invite burnout and a lack of balance into your life. You're not just an employee, you're a whole person with responsibilities, passions, and personal goals outside of work. When you set firm boundaries, you teach your colleagues and supervisors how to treat you, and you maintain the integrity of your work-life balance. Boundaries allow you to perform better because you're not constantly running on empty. It's also important to recognize that setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. In fact, it's one of the most selfless things you can do, because when you take care of yourself first, you're in a better position to show up fully for others. When you respect your own boundaries, you model that behavior for others, showing them that they too can assert themselves without feeling guilty. Boundaries create healthier, more balanced relationships where both parties feel valued, respected, and free to communicate their needs openly. In every aspect of life, boundaries create clarity. They remove the gray areas where miscommunication and resentment thrive. When you know where you stand, and when others know where they stand with you, interactions become more genuine, more respectful, and more fulfilling. By clearly communicating your limits, you prevent misunderstandings and avoid the buildup of negative feelings. You're able to engage in relationships and situations with confidence because you know that you're not overextending yourself or compromising your values. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser or if you fear conflict. But boundaries are not about creating conflict, they're about preventing it. When you don't set boundaries, conflicts arise naturally as frustration builds. You start saying yes to things you don't want to do, then feeling resentful. You begin to harbor negative feelings toward people who might not even realize they're overstepping because you've never told them otherwise. Clear boundaries, on the other hand, lead to more honest communication. When people know your limits, they're less likely to unknowingly push you beyond them. Ultimately, setting boundaries is about self-respect. It's about honoring your own needs, your own time, and your own peace. It's recognizing that you are worthy of protection, that your emotional and mental health matter just as much as anyone else's. Embracing tough love is about understanding that real care, real compassion, often requires you to step outside of your comfort zone and ask more from the people around you. It's the ability to say what needs to be said, even when it's hard, uncomfortable, or may temporarily hurt someone's feelings. Tough love isn't about being harsh or unkind. It's about being honest and holding others accountable so that they can grow, learn, and ultimately become stronger individuals. Too often, we think that love means always being gentle, always offering comfort, and never causing any discomfort. But the truth is, real love demands that you push people beyond their limitations even when they resist. Tough love is the opposite of enabling. Enabling is when you allow someone to stay stuck in their patterns because you don't want to upset them or make things difficult for them. You might feel like you're helping them, but in reality, you're just keeping them in the same cycle of behavior where they never have to confront their own challenges or take responsibility for their actions. When you enable someone, you're essentially telling them that their comfort is more important than their growth. But if you truly care about someone, you recognize that growth only happens through challenge. You understand that the most compassionate thing you can do for someone is to hold up a mirror and show them where they're falling short, even if it's uncomfortable for both of you. Tough love means not being afraid to tell people the truth, even when it's not what they want to hear. It's easy to offer kind words and encouragement when someone is struggling, but it takes real courage to be the person who says, you need to do better. It's about recognizing that while it might feel good to offer someone a temporary reprieve from their struggles, what they really need is the push to face those struggles head on. When you consistently shield people from the consequences of their actions, you rob them of the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and become more resilient. The essence of tough love is rooted in long-term care, not short-term comfort. It's about having the foresight to recognize that today's discomfort can lead to tomorrow's growth. Think of it like this: when you push someone to their limits, whether it's a friend, family member, or even yourself, you're not being cruel, you're showing them that you believe they are capable of more. Tough love is an expression of faith in someone's potential. You're saying, I see what you can become, and I'm not going to let you stay stuck here because it's easier. That's true love, pushing someone toward their potential, even when it's the hardest thing to do. In the context of parenting, for example, tough love means setting rules and enforcing consequences, even when it breaks your heart to do so. A parent who constantly gives in to a child's demands, who never says no or holds them accountable, is setting that child up for failure. When you love someone, especially a child, it's tempting to want to make their path as smooth and painless as possible. But without challenges, without moments of hardship, that child will never learn resilience. They'll never develop the emotional strength they need to navigate the real world. Tough love, in this case, means stepping back and allowing them to experience the consequences of their actions, knowing that those lessons will serve them better in the long run than temporary comfort ever could. The same principle applies in friendships and romantic relationships. Being someone's friend doesn't mean always agreeing with them or supporting their every decision without question. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a friend is to call them out on their behavior, to hold them accountable when they're making poor choices, or to challenge them to rise above their current circumstances. It's about being willing to risk temporary friction for the sake of long-term growth. A true friend isn't afraid to be disliked for a moment if it means helping their friend become a better version of themselves. Tough love means valuing the relationship enough to introduce uncomfortable truths into the conversation. In romantic relationships, tough love plays an essential role in maintaining respect and healthy dynamics. When you're in a relationship, it's easy to fall into patterns of enabling each other's weaknesses, whether that's by avoiding difficult conversations or by tolerating behaviors that are harmful in the long run. Tough love in a romantic relationship means setting boundaries and refusing to compromise on respect, honesty, and growth. It's about pushing each other to be the best versions of yourselves, even when that means having uncomfortable discussions or making tough decisions. Tough love doesn't just apply to others, it applies to yourself too. Often we are our own worst enablers. We let ourselves off the hook, make excuses for our lack of progress, or avoid the difficult steps necessary for personal growth because it's easier to stay in our comfort zones. Embracing tough love with yourself means holding yourself accountable for your actions and choices. It means being honest with yourself about where you are falling short, where you're making excuses, and where you need to push harder. It's not about being overly critical or harsh with yourself. It's about caring enough to demand more from yourself, to challenge yourself to rise to the occasion and tap into your full potential. Embracing tough love also requires understanding that temporary discomfort is part of the process. Whether you're practicing tough love with yourself or with someone else, the path is rarely easy. There will be moments of resistance, frustration, and even hurt feelings. But in the long run, Those moments are outweighed by the personal growth, strength, and resilience that come from facing challenges head on. Tough love is about seeing the bigger picture, understanding that the short-term discomfort of accountability, honesty, and discipline leads to long-term success, fulfillment, and stronger relationships. Tough love is also about trust. When you give someone tough love, you're saying, I trust you enough to handle this. You're showing them that you believe in their ability to rise above their current situation, to handle criticism, to grow from their mistakes, and to overcome obstacles. You're trusting them to be strong enough to face the truth, even when it's hard. It's a way of empowering others by giving them the space to confront their struggles and emerge stronger on the other side. This is why tough love is not just about being tough, it's about love. It's about genuinely caring for someone's well-being and future more than you care about being liked or keeping the peace in the moment. You want the best for them, and sometimes that means challenging them to step up, to take responsibility, and to face their fears or shortcomings. True love doesn't allow someone to stay stagnant. True love pushes them to evolve, to reach their full potential, and to become the best version of themselves. Prioritizing yourself is one of the most important, yet often misunderstood, aspects of living a fulfilled and balanced life. Many people associate self-prioritization with selfishness, thinking that putting their own needs, desires, and well-being first means neglecting the needs of others. But in reality, prioritizing yourself is about ensuring that you are at your best mentally, emotionally, and physically, so that you can show up fully for the people around you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of others, eventually you'll burn out, and when that happens, you won't be able to support anyone, including yourself. It's essential to understand that prioritizing yourself doesn't mean neglecting others. It's not about becoming self-centered or ignoring the needs of the people you care about. Instead, it's about recognizing that you matter too, that your needs, your goals, and your personal happiness are just as important as those of the people around you. When you make yourself a priority, you're practicing self-respect. You're acknowledging that you deserve the same level of care, attention, and love that you give to others. Too often, people fall into the trap of believing that self-sacrifice is noble, that constantly giving to others while neglecting themselves is a sign of strength or compassion. But the truth is, when you continuously put others before yourself, you're doing a disservice not only to yourself, but also to those who depend on you. One of the key aspects of prioritizing yourself is learning to say no without guilt. For many people, the word no is associated with rejection or letting someone down, so they avoid it at all costs. They say yes to every request, every demand, every invitation, even when it stretches them beyond their limits. But the truth is, every time you say yes to something you don't really want or have time for, you're saying no to yourself. You're sacrificing your own needs, your own time, and your own well-being for the sake of pleasing others. And while that might work in the short term, in the long run, it leads to resentment, exhaustion, and burnout. Learning to say no is a crucial part of self-prioritization. It's about setting boundaries and recognizing that you cannot do everything for everyone. You are not obligated to meet every demand that comes your way. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself, yes to your peace of mind, your energy, and your happiness. Self-prioritization also means carving out time for the things that nourish your mind, body, and soul. In a world that's constantly pulling you in a million directions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to you. You get caught up in the hustle of daily life, working to meet deadlines, fulfill obligations, and take care of others, all while neglecting your own needs. But in doing so, you forget to nurture yourself. Prioritizing yourself means making space in your life for the activities, hobbies, and practices that bring you joy, that help you recharge, and that align with your personal goals. Whether it's spending time on a hobby, practicing mindfulness, exercising, or simply taking time to rest, making these activities a priority is essential for your overall well-being. When you take time to care for yourself, you're better equipped to handle life's challenges, and you're able to give more to others from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Another key element of prioritizing yourself is recognizing the value of self-care. Self-care is not just about indulgence or treating yourself to something special. It's about creating a sustainable routine of practices that support your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's about recognizing when you need a break, when you need rest, and when you need to slow down. In today's society, there's a constant pressure to keep going, to always be productive, and to push through exhaustion. But the reality is, without regular self-care, you'll eventually hit a wall. Prioritizing yourself means listening to your body and your mind, understanding when you need to step back and recharge, and giving yourself permission to do so without guilt. Emotional well-being is a major part of prioritizing yourself. Too often, we allow the emotions and expectations of others to dictate our own emotional landscape. We put our own feelings aside to accommodate the needs of others, believing that this will maintain peace or strengthen relationships. But in doing so, we deny ourselves the space to fully process our own emotions, leading to emotional suppression and, over time, emotional burnout. Prioritizing yourself means giving yourself permission to feel and express your emotions without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about creating emotional boundaries that protect your well-being and prevent you from taking on the emotional baggage of others. It's not your responsibility to carry the weight of everyone else's emotions, and by prioritizing your own emotional health, you create healthier, more balanced relationships. Prioritizing yourself also means acknowledging your goals and aspirations and making them a priority in your life. Too often, people put their dreams on hold to accommodate the needs of others, whether it's a demanding job, family obligations, or societal expectations. But when you constantly put others' needs before your own, you risk losing sight of your own path. You begin to live your life according to other people's expectations rather than your own desires. Prioritizing yourself means taking the time to identify what you truly want in life and actively working toward those goals. It's about giving yourself permission to pursue your dreams, even if it means stepping back from other responsibilities or saying no to things that don't align with your vision for your life. One of the biggest challenges people face when they begin to prioritize themselves is dealing with the reactions of others. When you've spent your life putting others first, people come to expect that from you. They may become upset or resistant when you start setting boundaries or saying no, but it's important to remember that their discomfort is not your responsibility. Prioritizing yourself means understanding that you can't control how others react to your choices, but you can control how you respond. It's about staying firm in your commitment to yourself, even when others push back or try to guilt you into reverting to old patterns. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries and understand that prioritizing yourself is not a rejection of them, it's a necessary step in maintaining your well-being. Another important aspect of prioritizing yourself is recognizing the importance of your physical health. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to neglect your body, pushing it beyond its limits in the name of productivity or obligation. But your physical health is the foundation of everything you do. Without it, you cannot function at your best. Prioritizing yourself means making time for regular exercise, nourishing your body with healthy food, getting enough sleep, and listening to your body's signals when it needs rest or care. It's about treating your body with the respect it deserves and understanding that physical well-being is not something to be sacrificed for the sake of convenience or external demands. Finally, self-prioritization involves cultivating a mindset of self-worth and self-compassion. Too often, people are their own harshest critics, constantly doubting their worth or feeling guilty for taking time for themselves. Prioritizing yourself means recognizing that you are worthy of love, care, and attention, not just from others, but from yourself. It's about silencing the inner critic that tells you that you're not doing enough or that you don't deserve to put yourself first. It's about embracing self-compassion and understanding that taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you practice self-compassion, you allow yourself to make mistakes, to rest, and to take time for yourself without guilt or shame. Compassion is often misunderstood as a weakness or as something soft, especially in a world that sometimes values toughness, assertiveness, and dominance. However, real strength is not found in brute force or in always being rigid and unyielding. True strength is found in the capacity to care for others, to show kindness, and to act with empathy in even the most difficult situations. Compassion, when paired with strength, creates a powerful force that not only helps others, but also strengthens the person who embodies it. It's not about being weak or a pushover. It's about having the inner fortitude to face challenges while still choosing to be kind, understanding, and supportive of others. Compassion requires courage. It takes courage to open your heart to others, especially when they are suffering or when you are going through difficulties yourself. It's easy to shut down, to put up walls, and to distance yourself from others' pain because it can be uncomfortable or overwhelming. But compassion calls for you to stay present, to engage with others even when it's hard, and to offer your support without expecting anything in return. This kind of strength is rare, but it's the kind of strength that truly makes a difference in the lives of others. Compassionate people aren't weak, they're strong enough to care, even when it would be easier to turn away. Moreover, compassion gives you the strength to see beyond yourself. Often, strength is associated with personal success or the ability to stand alone, but true strength lies in recognizing that we are all interconnected. When you are compassionate, you understand that your strength is not diminished by helping others, rather, it grows. You don't see other struggles as something to be ignored or dismissed. Instead, you view them as opportunities to use your strength for the benefit of those around you. Compassion expands your perspective, allowing you to see that lifting others up doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, it makes you stronger because it fosters connection, understanding, and a deeper sense of purpose. Compassion is also a form of resilience. When you show compassion, especially in challenging situations, you demonstrate an ability to rise above pettiness, anger, or resentment. It's easy to react harshly when someone wrongs you or when things don't go your way, but compassion requires you to pause, reflect, and respond with empathy rather than with negativity. This is not about letting people walk all over you, but rather about choosing to act from a place of understanding and humanity, even when faced with adversity. Compassionate strength allows you to handle difficult people or circumstances with grace, maintaining your own dignity while also offering others the chance to grow or heal. Furthermore, compassion strengthens relationships. Whether in personal or professional settings, people gravitate toward those who show understanding and care. Compassion fosters trust, loyalty, and deep connections because it shows others that you are willing to see and acknowledge their struggles, pain, or needs. This kind of emotional intelligence is a form of strength that cannot be taught. It must be cultivated through experience and self-awareness. When you are compassionate, people feel safe around you, knowing that they won't be judged or dismissed. They see you as someone who is strong enough to handle not only your own challenges, but also to provide support when they need it most. Compassionate strength is also about balance. It's about knowing when to be firm and when to be gentle. There's a misconception that being compassionate means always being soft, but true compassion involves setting boundaries and holding others accountable while still offering kindness and understanding. Strength through compassion doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior or letting others take advantage of you. It means being strong enough to confront issues head on, to say no when necessary, but to do so in a way that is respectful and considerate of others' feelings. Compassionate strength is about finding that balance between asserting your own needs and recognizing the humanity in others. Compassion also empowers you to lead by example. When you lead with compassion, you show others that it's possible to be both strong and kind, to achieve success without stepping on others, and to build lasting, meaningful relationships. Compassionate leaders inspire others not through fear or intimidation, but through respect and empathy. They understand that strength isn't about being the loudest or the most aggressive, but about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and supported. Compassionate leadership encourages collaboration, fosters innovation, and builds a sense of community that strengthens the entire group. It's the kind of leadership that leaves a lasting impact, not just on the individuals you lead, but on the culture you create. Compassion is also a powerful motivator. When you care about others, you're driven to make a difference, to help improve their lives in whatever way you can. This can give you the strength to keep going even when things get tough, because you're not just working for yourself, you're working to make the world a better place for those around you. Compassion motivates you to take action, to stand up for others, and to use your strength to create positive change. It's a selfless kind of strength, one that looks beyond personal gain and focuses on the well-being of others. But in doing so, it strengthens your own resolve and sense of purpose. Additionally, compassion brings strength in times of personal adversity. When life throws challenges your way, it's easy to become bitter, to close off from others, or to let hardship harden your heart. But compassion gives you the strength to keep your heart open even when you're hurting. It allows you to see your own struggles not as reasons to withdraw from others, but as opportunities to connect, to understand, and to empathize with those who are also facing difficult times. Compassionate people are often some of the strongest because they face their own pain and chosen to turn it into something positive, into a deeper sense of empathy and a greater capacity to help others. Compassion also fosters inner peace. When you live with compassion, you reduce the internal conflict that comes from holding grudges, harboring resentment, or acting out of anger. Compassion helps you to forgive others, to let go of negative emotions, and to approach situations with a calm, clear mind. This inner peace is a source of great strength because it allows you to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed by emotional turmoil. When you can respond to others with compassion rather than reacting in anger or frustration, you maintain control over your own emotional state. This kind of emotional regulation is a form of strength that not only benefits you, but also positively influences those around you. Compassionate strength is also transformative. When you act with compassion, you not only strengthen yourself, but also inspire those around you to do the same. Compassion has a ripple effect that encourages others to be kinder, more understanding, and more empathetic. It creates an environment where people feel safe to be themselves, where they can express their needs without fear of judgment, and where they are more likely to show compassion in return. This collective strength builds stronger communities, workplaces, and relationships. It's a kind of strength that multiplies, benefiting not just the individual, but everyone they interact with. Finally, compassion deepens your understanding of the human experience. When you practice compassion, you become more attuned to the struggles and joys of those around you. You recognize that everyone has their own battles, their own pain, and their own dreams. This awareness strengthens your ability to connect with others on a deeper level, to offer support in ways that are meaningful, and to create relationships based on mutual respect and care. Compassion teaches you that strength isn't about standing alone, but about standing together, about using your strength to uplift others, and in turn, being uplifted by them when you need it. In conclusion, real strength is not found in being soft to everyone or constantly seeking approval. It's found in embracing authenticity, setting boundaries, and holding ourselves accountable. True strength comes from tough love, the ability to confront reality, and the understanding that discomfort fuels growth. It means prioritizing yourself without guilt, choosing respect over approval, and recognizing that compassion, when balanced with firmness, is one of the greatest forms of power. When you stop being soft to everyone and instead choose to stand strong in your values, you become a leader not only of your own life, but for those around you, inspiring respect, authenticity, and lasting change. By doing so, you elevate yourself and others, making a meaningful impact in the world.